Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we're looking at Boggle. This is a vintage Boggle from 1976, put out by Parker Brothers for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 to adult. This one might or might not be complete. I don't know, I haven't opened it yet. As you can see, it's a time-based game. It's got your hourglass here, and you're just supposed to spell words with what you find in there. Real simple game. I think it might even still be around. I'm not sure. I haven't played this game in ages. But let's open this up and see what we got here. Alright, so there's our lid. It says Boggle on it. And this is a plastic tray with the letters. Now there's supposed to be an hourglass. This one's missing it. It's got the end pieces though, which are this kind of dark honey colored yellow. Then we've got a instruction sheet here. You will need a notepad for this, but you know that's kind of neither here nor there. That didn't come in here. According to the sheet here, this contains 16 letter cubes, a cube tray with dome, and a 3-minute timer. So you could probably use an egg timer or something like that. The hourglass is usually the piece that's missing from sets like this, other than the dice. But the dice are actually, I've found, more common with these than the hourglass. The hourglass seems to be missing from a lot of games. Probably because they were fairly easy to break and they were made of really cheap plastic. This is actually pretty decent quality plastic. Even the dome is pretty decent quality for the time period. But yeah, it's you also need a notepad, which is not included, but the instruction sheet's really just one folded sheet of paper. It's a really easy game, not a lot to it. Like most games from the 70s and 80s, there's not a lot of depth to it. But you'll just want to make sure that all the dice are there, and usually they are because it has a tray. If they're not there, you might as well just not even buy it, because without these dice, the game is pretty much worthless. It's a lot harder. I had this exact version when I was a kid, and I didn't really understand it. I'm terrible at spelling. Anybody that's read my books knows that. But it was a cool concept, and I always wanted to like it, but since I couldn't spell, kind of pointless. And basically what you do is take this and just flip it around, let the dice dance around and then land, and you just shuffle it until all of them were in squares. And then take the lid off and use the letters to spell words, and whoever got the most successfully correctly spelled words was the winner and would get points. It's a very simple game. So yeah, the key things to look for: the 3-minute timer. You can buy replacement timers online, so it's a 3-minute one. That's a little more than most of them allow for, but at the time they didn't really come with too much electronic stuff, but a lot of games from that time period had timers. The yellow end pieces probably be difficult to replace, but a 3-minute timer I'm sure you could buy online or use some substitute. The instruction book you'll need, obviously. That's what tells you how long the timer is. And of course you'll need the dice, the tray. You could probably replace the tray with some other thing, like a large cup maybe, that you just shake around and dump out and just let them scatter a little bit. But it's a neat kind of gimmick. Interestingly, the box does not close if the dome is on top. And I'll show you what I mean. So we put it in like this. You'll notice that the dome is slightly higher than this, and the box doesn't shut quite right. So you have to actually take the dome out, which means everything's going to bounce around in here and be very difficult to clean up later. Or at least mildly annoying, which to me is difficult. I don't like that. But that is the 1976 version of Boggle from Parker Brothers. The game really hasn't changed. I've seen other editions of it. The only thing that changes really is the art. It's basically the same game every time. And it's a fun game. It's a good rainy day type game for the family if you know how to spell. Some of us are spelling challenged and don't care for games like this because we spell things horribly wrong. So if you can't spell, not really gonna have a lot of fun with this one. But you will need notepads and pencils or pens to write down your answers, and of course you gotta keep those secret. But other than that, the dice are kind of cool for other things too. If you want to do like brain games or spelling games or some sort of weird Dungeons and Dragons thing with them, you could always use the dice for that. So I believe all the letters are represented. I can't talk. So we're gonna wrap this up. But that's what's inside the Parker Brothers Boggle game from '76. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time on What's Inside.